Prime Minister Modi has in fact concluded his historic Ukraine visit, in which he met President Volodymyr Zelensky. This is the first ever visit to Ukraine by an Indian Prime Minister. Both leaders held a one-on-one and delegation-level talks with a focus on ways to find a negotiated settlement to the Russia-Ukraine war. Prime Minister Modi said that India had not been neutral or an indifferent bystander during the Russia-Ukraine war and was always on the side of peace. President Zelensky also held a briefing in which he said he's open to a peace summit in the global south, maybe even in India, and that he needs India on their side.
मेरा मन भरा था, दिल को गहरी चोट पहुंची थी और मुझे लगता है कि युद्ध की सबसे पहली कैजुअलिटी किसकी होती है तो निर्दोष बालकों की होती है और वो बहुत दर्दनाक होता है। हम न्यूट्रल नहीं थे, हम पहले दिन से ही पक्षकार रहे हैं और हमारा पक्ष है शांति का।
As for the peace summit, I truly believe that the second peace summit has to take place. Well, it would be good if it would be held in one of the global south countries. We are very open in that, and there are countries like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar, like Turkey, Switzerland as well, but that's a different direction. And we are currently talking to those countries about hosting the second peace summit. I perfectly support, and I told this to Prime Minister Modi, and we could have the Global Peace Summit in India. It's a big country, it's a great democracy, the largest. So whenever you are saying about diplomacy, I'm both hands for that, for the diplomacy. But I would like to see some specific steps, so that it wouldn't be at the cost of 30% of our territory and not at the cost of our population. If there is a plan like that, we're happy.
I think we don't have really Indian citizens in the prison and in the prison Polon in captivity. So we don't have. If I knew that we have, of course I could release it. Yes, of course we'll release it. Of course we will immediately will tell to Prime Minister, of course. So we don't have this information.
The focus of that press conference was diametrically different from what the joint statement says. The joint statement speaks about collaboration between the two countries, about protecting the territorial integrity of the nations. It speaks about 4 specific areas of advancement of ties. But I think what we heard President Zelensky say in this press conference, which I was at, was an extreme condemnation and criticism of India's oil imports from Russia. That's an issue which has come back squarely onto the table. Oil was the big focus in talks, is what Zelensky told us. There are record-breaking Indian contracts. This has an impact on the Russian economy. India is open for Russia, and that this directly helps the Russian army, and that there has to be a way to find an alternative, because India's oil imports help him very much. His society, in other words, Putin's society, will push him if their economy is not being propped up. Again, saying that it's India's oil imports and gas imports which are propping up the entire Russian economy. There is a role for India, is what Mr. Zelensky had to say, and that is to cut or to stop these oil imports, as a result of which Putin would have huge challenges. We understand what money Russia has on their oil exports to India, is what he said. Asked about whether there were any specific proposals that came out of this visit from Prime Minister Modi, or any proposals generally speaking, he said, of all the proposals, all we hear are political statements. So not necessarily speaking just about Prime Minister Modi, but generally of all the proposals, all we hear are political statements. It's not a path We need to see specifics in a plan. So again, he was absolutely clear that, look, as far as the war continuing is concerned, this is a war that's been pushed onto Ukraine, and that there is no way that they're going to swap territories either. So there is no immediate Ukrainian peace solution either at this stage. I asked him whether the war can be sustained if Donald Trump becomes the US president, to which he said, let's wait and see what exactly happens. But the key point and the key takeaway was, we need India on our side, not balancing Russia and Ukraine. And then, he went on to say also that we are ready for, he also went on to say, we are not happy we didn't get India's support in the United Nations resolutions, but that's in the past. We look forward to a new future. But India is a very influential country. If India's attitude can be changed, and he's talking once again about oil imports from Russia, then this will have an impact on the war. He in fact said it in more direct terms. He said if India's attitude can change, then this war can come to an end if India ceases its oil imports. So that's what the President Zelensky actually had to say, and a very, very direct attack. And I wouldn't use the word attack, but a very, very direct series of statements as he saw the relationship with India. He did, of course, say that he would certainly welcome arms imports from India as well. And if there were any plants which were being set up, that's certainly something that can be considered.